Episode 7 of Lawmen Bass Reeves is the episode before the season finale. And let me just say that this is an interesting episode. It's basically close to 29 to 32 minutes long. It's the shortest episode of the season by far. Now, the episode opens up and we see Bass is arrested and standing trial. What the hell happened? Well, we recap 6 weeks earlier, and Bass is sent out on a mission to kind of, once again, arrest an outlaw or someone who murdered someone. We don't know who that is. Now, Billy Crow kind of hires a cook for Bass and himself, and then they get to a destination and you see a woman sitting on the porch. And this woman is basically the one they have to arrest. But with that, Bass Reeves does not know that. And because the names are different, so he arrests this woman, puts her in the back. She doesn't eat. The whole group goes to sleep, wakes up the next day. She has escaped. Yes, she's escaped. And the reason she escaped is because the cook that Billy Crow hired let her go. And all this time, as the cook is talking and speaking of why Bass Reeves is doing what he shouldn't do or whatever it is, he is getting Esau Pierce in his head over and over again. The voices of what Esau did to the young boy Curtis at the beginning of this season. And he just recounts that constantly. And it's really interesting to see that. He thinks, the cook is going for his gun, and then bang, he shoots the cook. And Billy Crow's like, well, we got to get our story straight. So they take the cook back, and we see that Bass is arrested for the murder of this man, or Willie Leach, as Judge Parker said. And Judge Parker, in a way, and Bass kind of have a nice scene together, a dialogue scene where, you know, Judge Parker tells what he learned of a lesson of certain things, and Bass says the same thing, but in a different tone, in a different way. And contrary to evidence and whatever has to be, Bass is found not guilty. And I feel like Judge Parker is the one who did that because they had no more, not a lot of evidence. On the count of murder, you're not guilty. That's really interesting. So then the story moves forward, and then we see that Bass opens up to his wife Jenny and basically says, "While I was a slave, this and that, I, kind of was in a relationship." Not in a relationship, but there was this boy named Curtis who I love like a son, and I have to go and kill his killer. So we see Bass, we see Cheryl Lynn, played by Dennis Quaid, we see Billy Crow riding off into the sunset, going after Esau Pierce, the leader of the First Cherokee Mounted Rifles. And that's Bass's story. Now we have an underlining subplot here with Sally, Bass's eldest daughter, who is still kind of in the shadows of what happened at the carnival, or circus for that matter, where the little white girl came up to her and kind of in an interesting form. There's a knock at the door, and this little white girl's there, and she's asking questions, and she just leaves. Okay. And then as Jenny is eating dinner with her family, she has her friend Esme there because she left her man, and there's a burning kind of, burning thing in the middle of the field. If you know what that means, then I'm not going to go into any more context. This is the episode before the season finale, as I mentioned, but it's more so psychological for the character of Bass Reeves. We don't know what's happening. We don't know the aspect of it. And all of a sudden, Esau is just in his head. I feel like the season finale episode, is going to be a really, really in-your-face fun shocker. Will this get picked up for a second season? Who knows? If it is, then you can move the story forward, bring in new villains. I mean, there's a story every single week, but this was a well-written story to the point where, with this episode, you had Bass going through certain aspects of, even though he has the badge, he too can be put on trial. And he basically is saved by Judge Parker. Judge Parker kind of likes Bass, and you can see that in certain ways, especially in the scene where Judge Parker was over for dinner at Bass Reeves' home, and along with his wife. So it's really interesting to see how everything happens. And Donald Sutherland is really, really good as an actor. Very, very pristine, very precise, very, really, really fun to watch on screen, whether it be the big screen or the small screen. It's done really well. David Oyelowo, I mean, I want to know how long the character progressed from the sixth episode to the seventh episode, because you see patches of gray in his beard and he's much more older. It's like, is Esau Pierce's voices in his head getting to him and making him older? Does he have some kind of PTSD? Which I'm pretty sure he does, because he keeps reliving certain aspects that matters. I'm very curious to see what the season finale will be, and it's going to be really, really interesting. This really opened up the aspect of what we see and know in Bass, and how vulnerable he can be, and how weighed down he can be with actually just doing something without even thinking. So let me know in the comment section below what you thought about episode 7 of Lawmen, Bass Reeves. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What do you think of it? What do you think is going to happen in the season finale of this series? Did you like this episode? Did you like how it was more so a psychological aspect to it? Do you think that the length of this episode was good, or do you think they could have, fleshed it out more? And did you like the scene between Judge Parker and Bass Reeves, Donald Sutherland and David Oyelowo's character respectively, talking about how one character did one thing and the other did another thing very, very differently? And, do you think that things will, kind of come together in the end? Let me know in the comment section below about all of the questions I just asked, and be sure you click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell for new review videos on my channel. I will see you all in the next review video. I'm Mr. Filmstock. Thank you so much for tuning in, and be sure you tune in next week for my episode 8 season finale review of Lawmen, Bass Reeves.